Hi there, I'm Rich, and I want to tell you something. I'm 65 years old, but I've heard a lot of interesting stories from some of my friends. One friend I used to work out in the shops with, he and his wife were going home from church one Sunday evening, and a car that's going pretty good speed runs the stop sign and crashes into the side of the car where his wife was. She was dead for 17 minutes, according to him. Paramedics brought her back to life. But the story she told was very amazing. I heard it. And she said that their denomination was a Christian denomination, believing that their denomination was the only one going to heaven. She asked Jesus, she saw her relatives, they had gone on before, and she asked Jesus about that. He said, I have many sheep and many flocks. And to her that meant there are other denominations that are believers that are going to heaven. That's according to her. Second, I had an aunt. She had a stroke, and my cousins called 911 and the ambulances got there. But my aunt tells about she went up through a beam of light and there was a beautiful place and a river. And she looked on the other side of the river and there's my uncle, who passed on before, her husband, saying, go back, it's not time yet. And as much as she wanted to stay there with him because she loved him so much, she sucked into their body, and paramedics was working on her. Now it seems so many times from what I've read about near-death experiences, people come back because there's still something in this life that they have to do before they go on to the other side. Now, some people believe, well, there's no heaven, there's no hell, and if you believe that, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. There's a guy that was a minister, but before he was a minister, he told us that he and two brothers started a trucking business. And that was going great. They were buying more trucks, more deliveries. Their business was booming. Then one of his brothers got cancer. And his brother was on this deathbed. This man was on one side of his brother. The other brother was on the other side of the bed of the brother. The brother was mostly in a comatose state. And he woke up. He says, hold me boys, my feet are burning, my feet are And he said his brother died. According to this man, he said, we were both 235 pounds, 6 foot, nothing but muscle. And we couldn't keep our brother from slipping into hell. It's according to him. Now, whether there's things breaking down in our mind where we're imagining things, I don't know. If I can tell you this last story, I hope you hold on for this, because my friend Liz, I trust her with my life. I once said, did you ever know anyone with a near-death experience? And she said, well, I don't tell very many people this. That about 40 years ago, I was in hard labor for 24 hours. The doctor came in and said, I'm sorry, Liz, we're going to have to take a C-section. And she says, well, why didn't you tell me that earlier? Why didn't we do this earlier? So they take her in, and all of a sudden she says she remembers her body sort of floating above her body. They seeing him making an incision, taking the baby out, putting it on the gurney, and the gurney's being wheeled out. And she looks on top of the light, the operating room light, and it's dusty. And she thought, why is this so dusty? And it had a big old handprint in the dust. About that time, she started floating above. It was a little 2-story building back then. And it went on top, and she said she saw colors in the sky, so beautiful, nothing that she could describe here on earth. She felt God's love, and it was so wonderful. And she looked down on the roof, and there's this dirty old beat-up tennis shoe that's on the roof, and she thought, what in the world is that dirty old beat-up tennis shoe doing up on this roof? About that time, she heard the anesthesiologist saying, we're losing her, and she got sucked into her body. In recovery, the doctor came in and said, Liz, congratulations, You have a beautiful daughter. He didn't say we had any complications. He didn't say we had any problems. Then Liz says, let me tell you what I saw. The next day, he came over with a dozen roses. The hospital staff says he hardly brings any flowers to anyone. He had something behind his back, and when he pulled it up, there was that old, dirty, old beat-up tennis shoe that she saw with her spirit on top of the roof. My friends, we do have a spirit. My friends, there is life after this life. And I hope to see you on the other side.